everybody, it's Wendy, and today we are going to make a bracelet using products from the April 2022 edition of the Bargain Bee Box. So it was called Stirring Earth, and yeah, we're going to make a bracelet. First of all, our encouraging word for today is Proverbs 12:20. Joy fills hearts that are planning peace. So, oh, that's an interesting one, isn't it, for our world today? All right, so Bargain Bead Box. It is a monthly subscription beading service. This month, let me find my paper. Let's see. This month, apparently, we got $72 worth of stuff for $19.98 a month. And that includes your shipping. It's a really good deal. You can watch my unboxings. I have a whole playlist. I've been unboxing for them for years now. But today we're going to make a bracelet. So here's what you're going to need if you want to make this bracelet. I have 2 lengths of 7 strand beading wire. This is Beadalon. Man, it's like an antique bronze. Sorry, Hobby Lobby has... This was a clearance item, and they've covered up the color. It's just bronze color. Okay, so bronze, 7 strand beading wire. Okay, there we go. You're going to need 2 lengths of it. This depends on how big your wrist is how long you need them to be. Mine, I've cut a little extra because I always like to have a little extra instead of not enough, and I have 9.5 inches. Okay, 2 pieces, 9.5 inches. So, but again, you know, depends on how big your wrist is. I've got a bunch of bead bugs here because I'm notorious for losing my beads off of my stringing wire. So this is a safety precaution and will definitely help us. I've got all these beautiful little barrel beads from the box this month. I love these. I hope they put these up on their site. I'd like to order more. Hear that, Bargain Bee Box? I have the 4 ceramic beads. 4 of these ceramic beads. I have some of these beautiful rondelles, and these were really pretty too. Very sparkly, just gorgeous color. I have all of these little double strand links, and I don't know how many I'll need to use. My wrist is only about 6 1/4 inches, so, you know, we'll see how that goes. I have the double strand toggle clasp. I have a bunch of the bicones from the box this month. And then I've got 4 wire guardians and some crimp beads here. These are 1.5 millimeter crimp beads. And then I pulled out from my own stash some antique bronze spacers because these little pieces are weird. So, you know, the way these are, you've got to fill up this space here on your wire or it covers up your good beads, and you don't really want to do that. The beads you want to show, you don't want to be under here. So you need some spacers. You could even use seed beads if you wanted to. So, but I'm just using these little bronze spacers. And then you're going to need your pliers. So I've got my round nose pliers, chain nose pliers. You don't need round nose pliers. I don't know why I said that. I've got my chain nose pliers. You will need your crimpers and cutters. Yeah, I don't think you're going to need chain nose. I mean round nose. I just say it because usually you do, but not today. Right. Okay, so sorry about that. The doorbell rang and Sadie went nuts. So, all right, here we go. So we're going to take our bead bugs here, and let me look at the toggle and see how I want to do this. Yeah, probably gonna have to go ahead and close this end off and put this through the toggle. So let me do that. So we're going to need our wire guards and our crimp tubes and beads. I have 2 crimp tubes and the rest are crimp beads. I really wanted crimp tubes for all of this, but only had 2. So I'm going to use the 2 crimp tubes on this part right here, just because I feel like they're a little more secure than the crimp beads. So I'm just trimming that off because it's kind of snaggly. Apparently my wire cutters are all really crappy. All right, let's try this pair. There we go, that's better. Okay, so I'm going to take my crimp tube, put it on, take my wire guard, go up the first channel, and over, and down through the second channel, just like this. Okay, not going through the crimp tube yet. Chris is getting ready to start a chainsaw. You're going to hear that. All right. We've got like a jungle beside our house. I've never seen things grow like they do in Florida, and there are vines and craziness going on out there. We got to clear it out. Okay, so I'm putting my wire guard and then putting my toggle on. I'm going to pull this up so I don't waste too much wire and put my crimp tube on. Pull this up, put my crimp tube on, scoot it right up to the wire guardian. Then I am going to put my crimp tube in the divot on my pliers, and I'm going to crimp it down, okay? Then I'm going to turn it sideways, and I'm going to fold it on over. Okay, and there we have a secure crimp. You can pull on it, you can tug on it. It should not come open. Very secure. I'm going to do the same thing with my other one while I'm here. So just trimming the end again. Put my crimp tube on, wire guardian on, go up, over and around, and then I'm just going to put my wire guard right here on this part of the clasp. Okay? Then I'm going to go back through the crimp tube, just like this. Okay, so sorry for the chainsaw noises. I actually just went outside and helped Chris cut down a bunch more stuff. I'm telling you, there's a jungle out there. There's vines and trees, and this was in the yard. I think it's a lemon. So apparently we have a lemon tree out there somewhere. We didn't cut it down, I don't think, but interesting, right? Okay, so anyway, Florida life. All right, so here we are going back through this crimp tube right here. Sorry guys, I gotta work when he can work. So that's what we did, that's what we're doing. And I'm just gonna scoot this up. I'm gonna lay it in the divot on my crimping pliers, making sure that my wires are not crossed, and I'm going to crimp it down. Well, if I can get it to, it's getting stuck on the metal on the toggle clasp. Hold on just a second, let me uncross those wires. It's a little fiddly. Pull this up. Try to make sure that your wires aren't crossed. It's kind of hard sometimes, but it does help because they each need to go in their own little channel when you're crimping. And when they get crossed, it still is okay, but they're just not in their own little channel. There we go. Crimped it down. Okay, turning my pliers vertical and closing up this little crimp here. It's really fiddly with this clasp on here, but we can do it. And there we go. There's our little crimp. Tug. Just really tug on them good. If they're going to come apart, you want them to come apart now and not while you're wearing it or someone else is wearing it. So here's what we have. I am going to trim my wires. Make sure you trim the extra one and not your good one. I've done that before too, and that's pretty aggravating. Okay, there we go. All right, so here is our beginning for our bracelet. Now, what I want to do is take a couple of spacers and put on each one of these wires. Okay. I'm just going to do 2 on each one, and this is just giving enough room for the toggle to be away from the first beads that we're going to put on. My hands look so red. I was out there, I've had gloves on today trying to pull these vines and weeds and crap, but it hurts and I'm getting blisters. Okay. All right, so here's what we have so far. Now, let's see what we want to do. I think I'm going to use these, the rondelles, and I actually had pulled out some bead caps and considered using these bead caps on here as well. These are the little 6mm flower bead caps, and I think they would be pretty on the rondelles. So I'm going to do a green bead. Now, let me just say this. We're doing something different on this strand than we are on this strand, okay? So actually, let's bead bug this strand for a minute. And we're just going to do something different on this strand. So I'm going to take my barrel bead, put it on. I'm going to do a bead cap, one of these rondelles, and another bead cap. Okay, and one more barrel bead. And there is a little element. Now we're going to take this side, and what I'm going to do over here is I have my two little spacer beads. I'm just going to use one of my ceramic beads, but I have to make sure first that these spacers aren't going to go up in there. No, they won't. Okay, I was kind of worried about that because they're tiny. I've got too much out here running around. Let me scoot this stuff over. It's going to make me crazy. Okay, so, but what I have to do is I have to make sure that this barrel bead section is equal to this section over here. So I have to make sure these are laying correctly because they tend to want to, and then just look at this. And it really is not. I need something else. It's a little bit short. It's a little bit shorter than this section right here. So I need something else over here. And I don't want to use the spacer beads as part of that because they're going to be going up underneath these pieces. So I'm going to take one of the bicones from the box, and then I'm going to put the ceramic bead back on. And then I'm going to take another bicone, and let's see if that evens it with the other strand. Okay, so let's push everything up where it should be. And that makes it just a tad too long. So we're having issues here getting it exactly correct. And I really do want it to be as close as it can possibly be because it's just, it'll make the bracelet look a lot better. It's pretty close. Let's see. These bicones kind of go up in there. Yeah, okay. Well, let's try this. Let's just see how this is going to work. So we're designing and we'll figure it out. All right, now I'm going to put on my first little thing. And if you can see here, there's a space of about 2 spacer beads here that you don't want this to cover up your pretty beads. I don't anyway. So I'm going to take a couple spacer beads. I'm going to do 2 on each strand to start, and we'll see how it looks when we get it on. Okay, so there's 2. Let's do 2 on this strand. And once we get the initial pattern down, then we'll be able to repeat it. And we won't have to figure it out every time, but first time you got to do a little figuring out. So let's put him on and put this strand on, and we'll take a look. Okay, now don't let them crisscross, and make sure that your wire guardians are laying down like they should, and let's look at it. So here's what we've got. So this side over here is definitely a little bit shorter than this side. I'm going to add one more spacer bead onto this side. Okay. It's going to be underneath this piece, so I'm not too worried about it, making things look out of sync. I think it's going to help, actually, more than anything. And now we'll see how they look. When everything's pushed up together, this is what we have, and if you turn it over, it's not covering up any of our pretty beads, and that's what we don't want. We don't want it to cover up the shimmery beads, the pretty ones. Okay, so now we've got kind of a little pattern down. We need about 3 spacer beads here. So let's do 1, 2, and 3. And that's going to cover up, that's going to fill up this space here so our pretty beads aren't hidden. I'm going to do the same thing on this other strand. 1, 2, and 3. And now we're ready to put on our next bead element. And what I want to do is not use the ceramic beads all on this side. Now I want to use some over here. So I'm not counting my spacers. I'm going to do a bicone, a ceramic bead, and a bicone. So bicone, where'd they go? Ceramic bead and bicone. Okay, just like this. And on this side, I'm going to do the barrel bead, bead cap, rondelle, bead cap, barrel bead. So barrel bead, bead cap, rondelle, bead cap, and one more barrel bead. So here's what we have. Okay, if you turn it over, it looks like this. So flip it back, and now we need to decide our spacers. So here's our little component, okay? Now you could, if you look at these, from the front it doesn't really look any different, but they kind of have a little bit of a curve to them, okay? So if you wanted to put the curves kind of facing each other and make it look like this, you could. And I think that's what I'm going to do just because I like that little detail. So in order to do that, I would need to turn this one this way. So the other one, we have the shortest area here and then the links and then this longer area. This one we're going to have the longer links and shorter area, okay? So I'm going to do 3 spacers on this bottom one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and if I put this up here next to it, it's kind of going to cover up my bicone, so I'm going to do one more for good measure. Then I'm going to put this guy on, and then we'll check our other side and see what we need to do. I think here on my other side, I'm going to do 3. So 1, 2, and 3, and let's see how that's gonna lay. Yeah, it's gonna have to have at least one more, maybe 2. So let's put one more on. That might do it. Let's go ahead and put it on and see. When we lay everything out, how it looks. Pretty good, pretty even. Everything's laying out pretty good here. Okay, so now we're basically going to repeat what we did over here. Okay, so we're back at our shorter side. So we're going to do 2 spacers here. 2. Okay, and then our bicone. Our ceramic bead, and our bicone. And then I'm going to have to measure and see what my length is getting at because I don't have a very big wrist. Okay, on this side, we're going to need 2 spacers. Okay, we'll have to check it here in a minute, but I'm going to do the barrel bead, the bead cap, the rondelle, the bead cap, and the barrel bead. Okay, so here's what we've got. That's pretty even. These two together are pretty even. So now I need to put on my next piece, but let me measure this and see what our length is at. So I'm looking from the end of the toggle to the end of my beads at about a little over 5 inches, so I'm okay to put another piece on. And now I'm going to do this, so if you can see, we've got the longer end here, shorter end. I'm going to do it the opposite way, shorter end to longer end, okay? And for that, I'm going to need a couple of spacers. So 2 spacers on this top one. put it through here. And I think we ended up doing 3 on the bottom. On the other one, yeah, 3 on the bottom. So 1, 2, go on there, and 3. And we're going to go through our little connector and see how it looks. Okay. And it's very even, and our pretty beads are not being covered up, which is what we want. One thing that I have done wrong, though, is I have put my toggle on the wrong way. That is very bad. Yes, I have. So what I'm going to have to do is take these off and flip these to where the hammered side matches the toggle. Okay, so don't do that. I will pause that and not make you watch it. Be right back. Okay, so I'm back to where I was, and I will just say I don't edit out those mistakes because I like you guys to see that no matter how experienced you are or how much jewelry that you make or whatever you do, everybody makes mistakes, okay? It's okay, and you just stop and fix it. That's all you have to do. So, not a big deal. Here we are. We're back to where we started. Okay, so I'm going to measure this, and I'm looking at right at about 6 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this last section on, okay? So on this side, it's going to be like 2 spacers. Oops. 2 spacers. My barrel bead. My bead cap. Rondelle. And bead cap, and my other barrel bead. Okay, so there's that one, and I'm going to bead bug this so it doesn't fall off on me. And I want to bead bug it pretty tight so you can see your length, what you've got going on there, okay? On this side, I'm going to do the 2 spacers. And I'm going to do my bicone, my ceramic bead, my bicone. Okay? So then I'm going to bead bug this one fairly tight. So here's what we have. So I'm ready to put the other end of my clasp on. And I need to do the same thing here that I did here. So 2 spacers, the wire guard, and my toggle bar. Okay, so I'm going to do that here. I'm going to do 2 spacers. I'm just trying to keep it, you know, to where it looks the same on each end. I'm going to do my crimp bead, my wire guardian, go up and over and around and down through your other channel. And then I have to put my toggle bar on, and I want to make sure that I do this with the hammered part down so I don't mess myself up again. So let's make sure I'm getting this on correctly. So take your toggle bar, just put it right on your wire guardian and pull. Okay, so the hammered part is definitely down. I'm going to do the same on my other before I close it off. I just want to look at them, you know, together before I close it off. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. My crimp bead, my wire guardian, up and over and around. And then I'm just going to put my toggle bar on. So there he is. And these toggles are kind of curved. I mean, you could do it either way that you wanted to do it. Curved up or curved down, I guess. Go ahead and... This is fiddly, but we can get it. It'll go right through there. There we go. Okay, and then I want to go back down through my crimp bead on both of these. I just wanted to make sure that it was going to lay okay, and it is. So I'm going to go back down through my crimp bead on both of them. Okay, I'm going to go through my bicone. This is so fiddly. Oh my goodness. You just really have to have some patience to get this. But you want it to lay right, and you want it to be even and pretty, so just have some patience. I'm going back down through the bicone and my ceramic bead, and I'm going to use my pliers to help me get that wire back down through there. And hopefully it's going to pop out at the bottom of the ceramic bead. Oh, it did. It came all the way back through that bicone, and that's fine. Pull it tight, okay? Then go ahead and do your other one before you crimp it, though, because we want to make sure that everything's laying right and looking right. So go ahead and get your other one. Same thing. Back down through that crimp. You know what I didn't do? I didn't put the spacers on this side. So see, I'm glad I didn't crimp that down, because now I can fix that. I just looked at these and I'm like, hey, this has 2 spacers. The other one didn't, and they both should. The other end did. So I want to do it right and make it look right. So let's go back down through here. And you just really kind of go through as many of the beads as you can get it to go through, and usually it pops out somewhere on its own. Though mine doesn't seem to be popping out anywhere. Let's find it. There it is. So I'm going to grab it with my plier and just pull it tight. Okay, so now see what I've got here is I'm uneven because I didn't put my crimp beads or my spacer beads over here. And I'm glad I didn't crimp that down, because I would have missed that, and then I would have had to restring the whole thing, which would have been really, really bad. So let's take this loose. That's why it's good not to crimp it closed till you're, you want to lay it out. You want to get those endings on there first, and then lay it out and just look at it and make sure everything is where you need it to be, because if you're like me, you get distracted and you make mistakes, and I do that. Okay, here we go. Let's put our 2 beads on. And I know, probably you guys were screaming at me, you don't have your beads on there. I know. But, here I am, still not hearing you, not doing it. Okay, so let's go up and over with this. And back down through. It's easy to make mistakes, it's really easy to get distracted and just maybe do something that you didn't mean to do, or forget something or whatever. So that's one reason I like to leave them in, because I do it too. We all do. Okay, now we're going to go back down through here and back down through our other beads. And that should be good, but we'll poke these down through here and not close anything up until we're sure, for sure. That's what we like to do. Okay. Come on now, get down through there. And if it won't go through, as long as it goes through a couple of the beads up here, you don't really have to worry about, it doesn't have to go through it, a big bunch of them, but I just like to get through the first couple at least. I feel like it gives it a little bit more security if, something would come loose. Hopefully you've tugged it really hard and it's not going to come loose, but, still. Okay, so here's what we have. Everything looks even. We do have our, we've got our, beads on here like we need them to be. So we're just pulling tight. Let's pull everything tight. Okay, and it's looking good. So now that everything's laying like it should, and I've got everything on there like I should, I'm going to attempt to crimp it. It's kind of hard to do it when you get to this end because you've got so much stuff going on here, but just do the best you can. Crimp it down. Turn your pliers sideways, vertical in there, and get the crimp vertical, and close it up. And it is kind of fiddly, but you can do it. Close it up real good. These are the crimp beads that these are just really low quality, these little bronze ones. I don't have any more bronze crimp tubes, and so I'm using these really low quality little bronze crimp beads, so I'm a little bit scared, but I think it's going to be okay if I am careful when I crimp them down. Okay, pulling that tight. But sometimes these little cheapo crimp beads, I think they're from China, Panda Hall or something, and they will break on you if you're not careful. So I prefer to use the better quality crimp tubes, but like I said, I don't have any antique bronze, and I knew that it would show on this bracelet, so I didn't want to use a different color. Okay, now we're crimped down. We're going to take our cutter and we're going to trim our wire wherever it's coming out of our bead. And again, make sure you trim the correct one. I have trimmed the other one accidentally, and that is very frustrating. And here's our finished bracelet. So let's go ahead and put our toggle through here. And that can be a little fiddly too, but just pull on it. And look how tiny. My wrist is super, super small. If I was making this to sell, I would definitely put an extender on it, but that fits me perfect, and I like them tight. I do not like my bracelets flopping, at least this kind. I don't like them flopping around, so, you know, I like it pretty tight, and it's kind of hard to get on sometimes, and I'll a lot of times have Chris help me get them on, toggles especially, like I can't get it on by myself. But if you wanted to make it adjustable, you can always put another ring down here. You do have another one. You could take this and you could, you know, jump ring it on here somehow, or even wire wrap it on there. Or you could use one of, I don't know if this bar will go through this guy. It might. Yeah, it will. So you could use one of these little rings, these extra little rings that they sent, and just jump ring it on, you know, or even put a little bit of chain in between these two and have this ring on. You could do that to make it adjustable. But this one will fit me. It's just hard for me to get on without Chris. But anyway, here it is. I think it turned out really well. I like these beads this month. When I first opened the box, I was kind of like, I don't like this, but I thought it was very muddy and kind of swampy looking. But the more that I looked at the beads, the more that I really enjoyed the colors and just the mix of sparkle and the antique bronze, and I just think it's a really pretty box. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please like it. Give it a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know that you like this content, and it helps me. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It's completely free to subscribe. You know, you don't have to pay anything, and you get, if you ring the little bell, you'll get notified whenever I upload new videos. So, actually, I think that I am going to put one of these on just to show you guys kind of how to do it. Let me find my antique bronze. And actually, you could take a piece of this chain. Where's the chain that they put in this box? Oh, I've got it laid out here for another bracelet, or for another necklace, but I'm going to use a little bit of it here because I don't need the whole amount for the other bracelet or necklace. And so you would take a bigger jump ring. You definitely need a bigger one for this. Okay, so I've got some pretty big, like this right here would work really good. Okay, and you could either take it and just jump ring these together like this. So jump ring that one on, and I think I'm just going to do it this way. You could jump ring these together. It's better if you have your pliers to close things than your fingers. But this will make it a little bit adjustable. So if you had somebody else who, you know, you wanted to give it to, actually that's not going to work. This is not a big enough jump ring for that. So what I will do, watch this. I'll take this big jump ring. So these are probably 12mm jump rings. These are probably 10 that I have here. I don't know where I got them. I bought a bunch of jump rings from Bargain Bead Box. These may be those, actually. And here's a thicker 10, and I like it better. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'll take my 12 millimeter. I'm going to hook it onto here, and I'm going to hook my 10 onto it, okay? And then I'm going to close it up. Okay, so here's what I've got. Now I'm going to take, I opened that 12 millimeter. I'm going to grab a different one because it's kind of got bent out of shape a little bit. Do I have more of those? I think I do. Huh. I should have more of those. Thought I had more of those. I do. They're just down in here. Okay. So actually I'm going to use that same one because I can't seem to find another one. So here's my 12 millimeter again. Going to take it, put this jump ring on. And you could do just one. You don't have to do two, but I kind of like the look of the double since the whole bracelet's double anyway. And then I'm just going to take this other one. Now, if I put it on like this, with these turned this way, sideways, it's going to hang sideways. So I need a couple more. And I could even go down a millimeter, but I think I'm going to stick with the 10 millimeters. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this one onto this one. Put this one on here. Just like that. And add this one onto this one, and then put this one on here. And this gives me kind of a little decorative element to my bracelet. Like if I wanted to keep it just clasped in this one, I could, but it also allows me to clasp it down here. And you have to kind of wiggle to get it through there, but it will go through, and you would have a little adjustable clasp, okay, for your toggle. So I think that works out pretty well. If you want to make it adjustable, you could make it as long as you wanted to. You know, you could do 2 or 3 of them if you wanted to make it really adjustable. But that's a great way if you're wanting to use one ring, the big decorative ring, but then, you know, maybe it's, you want to make sure that everybody could wear it, so you can add some on. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's getting long now and I'm sorry, but yeah, I will see you in the next one. Bye.